What's up, y'all? Hope you guys are having a fantastic week. Welcome to the MSP Cold Prospecting Playbook. My name is Chris Weiser. Got the ever-present stay-at-home mom today, Lindsey Badillo, who's literally running out to take care of a sick child. So, Lindsey, I get it. I was like, I gotta go live. I don't know what she's doing, but I'm going.
We're here.
It is what it is. That's cool. It's kind of the world that we live in. Also, here at Seven Figure, it's also the world that we live in. I forgot to take my. You guys are gonna see me strip today. I got my. Hey. Yeah, I forgot to take my hoodie off. It's cold in Texas today. It was 75 yesterday, and today we have 48. So it's not warm, and it's raining, so it's not very nice. But I got my everybody thinks this is a Run DMC shirt on. This is the Run the Play shirt from our last live event, so that's kind of cool. Okay, so we have week 3 today. We're really excited about this. I got a couple housekeeping moments. First of all, if you guys weren't here last week, I was on a boat. So we did a little bit of the entry launch on this. I was on a cruise ship in the Bahamas on an entrepreneur cruise where I was speaking on, which was really cool. I was actually impressed. I went back and watched the video, Lindsey. It was way better than I expected it to be. So I was kind of cool. In fact, I believe the internet on the boat was better than the internet you have at your house.
I'm sorry.
Oh, by the way, here, I just did this.
Okay.
I did a little share screen. This is my internet at the office, 545 by 302.
Are you serious?
And you're over there with 8 by 3. So Lindsey's legit on DSL.
I'm in like the sticks though in Georgia. Like literally, I'm in a cotton field. So just keep that in mind.
I love giving you a hard time. It's really literally one of my favorite things. Are you kidding? Brittany just said it's 77 degrees in Houston.
What?
This is some crap. Brittany, I'm not joking. Like this, look at my phone. 48 degrees here in Austin, Texas, and you're 3 hours from me. I'm not happy. It was 75 yesterday. So anyway, I got a couple housekeeping moments for you guys. We always do this to give people time to get on with us. Thing number 1, we have our live event. We just came out of about 3. In fact, I think it's 3 weeks ago right now. We were in Phoenix, Arizona for our Q1 event. We have our second live event coming up here. It's in, I think it's the second week of May, give or take there. It's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee. Really excited about that. We're at the Margaritaville Hotel, downtown Nashville. Really excited about that. Super cool venue. I've actually never been to them. I've been in the Bahamas. I was at Margaritaville in Nassau, but I was not at the hotel yet, so I've not been there. So that's thing number 1. We'd love to have you guys, if you're guests, if you're elite members, please come. You guys know your promo code. Our elite members that are in our coaching program get to come to our live events totally free. So that's pretty cool. Second thing we have coming up. Oh, shoot, I screwed this up. Let me just edit this really quick here. Next week, Monday, we have coming up with me and Cindy Phillips, who's our head sales coach. We have our next sales strategy webcast coming up. Now, this is a little bit longer webcast. Lindsey and I do 45 minutes to an hour doing this MSP cold prospecting playbook, talking marketing and some of this other stuff. My webinar with Cindy is about 2 hours long. So it's pretty long, but we dive deep into how to realistically use cybersecurity risk assessments to double your MRR in 12 months or less. That's the title of the webinar. That's what we're going to do on Monday. So we'd love to have you guys come on that and watch that. That being said, I'm going to hide that and I'm going to hand the keys over to Lindsey. Lindsey, I will have a little bit of feedback. I don't know if you got your screen shared.
Yeah, we are ready to go.
I don't see it on the bottom down there, but maybe it's on your side. But I would let Lindsey take it over. What are we covering today? Today, I think it's cold email.
Today is all about cold email. So last week we did cold calling. It was a really, can you guys see this? Can you see my screen now?
Green light.
Yeah. Okay. So last week it was all about cold calls, and we really practiced, hey, like what are best practices for making calls? This week we're moving into emails. So it's really cool. Those of you that are repeating and you've been following along over the last 3 weeks, you're going to see a trend. You're going to see like some things that are repetitive as far as building relationship, building credibility. A lot of those general principles actually carry over. So really cool training today. And I'm glad that we got you here today, Chris, and that you're not.
One really quick thing on this. I want you guys to understand how big of a deal this is. A couple of weeks ago, Lindsey and I did our week 1. This is week 3. We talked about cold prospecting. We had a lot of people commenting in that video and in some of the posts that we had earlier. I grow my business by referral, blah, blah, blah. I and I had a lot of people send me messages after that webinar too. Here's what I'll say to this. I have zero, this just because we're promoting cold prospecting doesn't mean we're poo-pooing referrals. This should be on top of this. And I'm going to give you a very good example of numbers. In the last 3 weeks in my program, we've signed 18 new members.
Incredible.
1 came from referral, 17 came from cold prospecting. And I want you guys to understand how big of a deal that is. So while I understand I can still grow on referrals, look at the difference when I grow 17, 18 new members in a month and only 1 comes on a referral. Very hard to scale, very hard to control your business that way. So Lindsey, that being said, I'll hand it over to you guys and we'll go from there.
Yeah, that's good. And you're right. And I think it comes back to what we talked about in week 1, Chris, around having the faucet that you can turn on,
yeah,
and you can turn off. And you can,
and honestly, I know MSPs, you got to control your lead flow because you have to be able to onboard and all this stuff. But as you get better at onboarding, you want to be able to crank that faucet up. And that's what's, it's really important to have a process for cold prospecting.
Yeah. And also with that, like, that's a good problem to have. Like, if you had too many leads coming in the door, you can fix that. You can hire someone to help you out with that. But it comes back to what you always say, cash flow is king. Cash solves everything. So if we can make the money to help you get the help, to help you get the hire that you need, you can continue to scale from there. So let's talk about how it is that we get those leads in the door. How do we turn that faucet on? So quick recap of week 1, week 2. So we've been talking about really nailing in on elevating your services, elevating your ideal client, elevating your message, elevating the solution that you provide for your clients. Okay. And quick plug for Cindy and Chris's training next week. I had a couple of you like chat in the comments and message me and say, hey, I want to know more about the CSRA. You know, we're doing network scans. I recommend going and definitely watching that strategy session next week with Cindy and Chris, because that's literally what the entire training is about. Is if you're trying to wrap your head around CSRAs and how do I elevate our company? How do I get there? Go watch that training, hang out with them. You guys do Q&A too, right? So you like answer questions at the end. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So
we do tons of live Q. In fact, we take chat comments live, and then we do an actual Q&A section because it's instead of this is a StreamYard deal. This is kind of simulcast. That is a Zoom webinar exclusively, and we take live questions and answer every single one that comes in.
Yep. So definitely get onto that call next week with Cindy and Chris. Okay. So for now, all right, if we're understanding how it is that we elevate our solution that we provide, we're elevating our company as a whole. Now we want to get those leads in the door. Last week we covered cold calling. This week we're moving into cold email. Okay. So this is a step-by-step for successful cold email outreach. All right. So I encourage lots of participation in the chat as we go. I try to keep an eye on the chat. So like if you have questions as we go, definitely ask them in the chat. Or I see Brittany said, hey, I've tried it out and I've had a 17 to 20% open rate. We can talk about why this may be happening. Why are people not responding? What helps to get responses? Okay. So we're going to talk about those things today. So definitely ask questions and participate in the chat as we go. So let's talk about what cold emails are. Dun, 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 dun. Cold emails are exactly that. It's sending an email to what you would consider a cold lead. So if we think back to like last week, whenever we did an overview of your pipeline, if we do an overview, like a 50,000 foot view of your entire, like the journey that you move your leads through, anytime someone enters into your space, whether they find you off of Google or they search for you or you build a list with their name on the list, that very first time that they enter into your space, they're a cold lead. They don't know you. They don't trust you. You have no credibility with them, or if you do, it's very low. They're a cold lead. So whenever we're sending out emails to them, 2 things. 1, there's a few logistical steps that we need to take in order to just set ourselves up for success, which we're going to talk about those. And then 2, you have to understand that you've got to build relationship. You have to build credibility. You've got to build trust, right? Because they don't know you. They don't know your company from any other company out there. They probably most likely have a computer shop that they're working with, or they have maybe somebody that they call when something breaks, or they know a guy, right? We all know that, oh, I know a guy. So you have to build that trust with them. So if you're not seeing the results, or if you send out one email and you don't get the response, or you're like, this doesn't work, don't give up. That's normal. Don't take it personal. You have to build the trust. You've got to build that credibility. Okay. So we're going to talk about.
Hey, are you talking about the legality at all around? Because I know we got a lot of people. We're going to have people watching around the world on this. Are you going to hit on that, or do you want me to touch it?
We could talk about that whenever we get into the logistics. Okay. So when we start talking about domains and kind of like those steps to take to get it started, we'll talk about that there.
Okay. Just keep me in the loop on that.
Yep. Absolutely. Good point. Okay. So we know that cold emails are going to leads that we don't really have much credibility built. They are highly effective when they're coupled with another touch point. Okay. So meaning if I have a list of my ideal clients, I've went and built out this list, and I've got, let's say, lawyers, or I've got law firms on this list. Well, I know that if I send them the email, that's great. But if I can double down and then I can call them personally, and I can make that other touch point and say, hey, this is Lindsey reaching out from ABC Cyber. We sent you an email. Just want to make sure you got it. We've got a webinar that's happening next Wednesday. Can you guys make it? And they're going to say, oh, yeah, I saw that email. Wasn't so sure about it. Thanks for calling us. We can't make it. Okay, no worries. How about we put you down for a call with our team? Right. So we're doubling up. That's literally an example of how
that is such a great example, because you think about where that immediately goes. It's almost not a cold call anymore. It's now, oh, we sent you, you're targeted, you're a lawyer, or you're a CPA, and we're doing this webinar on this specific thing, or you're a car dealership, and we wanted to make sure you knew about the new FTC safeguards. And so we have a webinar. We're going to use a cold email to drive a targeted person to it. And then we call down, and it's not even a cold call anymore. It's a, hey, sent you an email. Did you see it? Oh, yeah, it's for CPAs. We're a CPA. Great. Something we might know. All of their aversion to, oh, you're a cold caller, eliminated, because you're not calling looking for, have you looked for a new IT guy lately?
Yeah. It's taken like the weirdness out of it, which we're going to talk about that. And like, that's probably what stopped most of you. Maybe you've heard of this before. If you're here, like in this group, you've heard about, you've heard of Chris doing these marketing and sales, and like you guys know what it is that we need to be doing. We know that we probably need to be sending emails or calls, but maybe what stopped you is that you're like, well, I don't want to be salesy. I know how I feel whenever I get these cold calls and somebody's trying to sell me something, and I don't want to be that way. Well, whenever you do it right, and you come at it from an angle of, hey, we've got something for you, or we got this training for you, or hey, we sent you that email. We're reaching out to firms in the area to make sure that you guys are covered on these FTC safeguards. Whatever the case is, we're leading with service. And it's not about getting the fast close. It's about building the trust. Okay, so we're going to come back to that over and over today. All right. So now keep your cold emails short, purpose-driven. Okay, we're going to go through this today. Short, sweet, purpose-driven. Nobody wants to read a book. We are busy. So if we can just, keep these very direct, and hey, what's the very next step that we want our ideal clients to take? That's going to help you see the best results off of your cold emails. All right, so we have Amy, AIMEE. It's our AI in our 7-figure MSP CRM. And Chris, are we still going with Amy, or have we changed her name yet?
I picked Amy only because it's AIMEE. Right. But whatever.
Okay, so this actually started. So for anyone that's like new and you're like, who is Amy? This actually was like a running joke at our live event, because we have this really awesome AI feature that's built into our CRM. And as we were doing pre-day workshop, we kept coming back to the AI. We were like, she needs a name. And her name is actually Sassy Amy, but Chris is not a fan of that. So
I'm fine with Sassy Amy as long as it's AI. You should call her AIMEE, because that's AI. That's
AI me. Maybe we should call her AI me. No.
Whatever.
Okay. All right. Anyways, so we asked Amy, literally, how can I get over the nerves of cold emailing? And Amy says, overcome cold emailing with confidence and empathy. Get your message out there with a witty, friendly, and bold tone. I thought that was funny that she said that get it out there. Be witty, be friendly, be bold. Don't be afraid to put your personality into it. Lead with confidence. If you know that you have a service, you have a solution to provide, and if you're not sure what that solution is, definitely go to next week's training with Cindy and Chris, because you're going to get a lot more confidence from that. You're going to feel a lot more you just know where you're headed. You understand, oh, I get it. I get the solution that we're providing. And that's going to help you in your marketing efforts. Okay. So leading with confidence and empathy, but also cold emailing it's really effective because it builds trust. It builds your touch points. It puts you in control. It puts you on the gas pedal. You're not waiting for referrals to come to you. You're not waiting on the algorithm. Maybe you're already doing some social media. Maybe you're posting reels on Instagram, or you're on TikTok, or you're on LinkedIn, and you're like, well, this is great, but it rarely ever leads to anyone reaching out. That's because probably only 1% to 2% of your audience, or it's even reaching them, if that. On a good day, 1% of them are even seeing it. So when you're getting in the offense and you're actually emailing and you're calling and you're taking these actions, that puts you in control. Okay, so it's just way more consistent and it's dependable. All right, it's also great for creating momentum. So again, if you're like, all right, well, we're at a place, we've got our systems on lock, we're ready to scale, we're at a place where we want to grow. This creates momentum. This gets you taking action. It gets people in your space that you can then follow up with. You can have your team call them. You can send them some mail. It puts you in the offense again, okay? And it's quantifiable. This has been our word in Seven Figure MSP. It's all about our numbers. Cindy, our sales coach, and I, we've been super big on just helping our clients understand their numbers. So saying, all right, if I'm going to make 100 calls this week, I can pretty much, I know across the board average, I'm going to get 10 first-time appointments from that, right? Or if I send out 100 of these emails, I know I'm probably going to get a 2 to 3% response rate, right? So it's quantifiable. We can look at our numbers and we can make changes from there, which is not the case if we're depending on the algorithm or even referrals, okay? You can actually see here Tyler. So Tyler is in our marketing machine, and Tyler's in a pretty rural area, right? He's the low country area. I don't know if that's rural, but it sounds like it. Yeah, I think so, Chris.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing, MSPs have this mindset of, oh, I'm in a rural market, I can't do this, or I can't charge this. It doesn't matter where they're at, guys. The hackers are not segregating. The hackers don't care. And we've seen our biggest losses yet in the small business world come from the rural marketplaces. So they need to understand that too. They're not too small to get in. But half the deal is actually getting in front of these people and making sure. And I want to just, did you see Brittany's comment down there? I'd like to cover that. Do you want to do that right now? The last one. I think it kind of goes into this, but I just don't know where to bring it up because I think it's a really relevant comment.
Yeah, let's put it up. Do you want to put it on the screen?
So there we go. So, and I think this is really relevant. Can you go back one slide quick? I just kind of want to bring this up and point this out.
There we go.
So first of all, I love that you tracked, Brittany, that you know what your open rates are, but so much of this note, she didn't mention that none of them got delivered. So deliverables key. Having a really good list is key on this, but also your open rates go directly into making sure you have a message that ideal CP, that ICP, that ideal client profile cares about. And that goes right into some of this stuff that she's talking about. And we're going to talk about this on the next couple of slides as well. But I think it's just a really relevant piece to make sure you bring it up. So we'll bring it back up in a minute here as well. So I'll let you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what I want you guys to know that even though you're in a rural area, or maybe you tried cold emailing before, or maybe you're like, I don't know about this, it does work. You just got to work it. And I think that that's really the case with most strategies. Most strategies will work, but we've got to work it. We've got to stay consistent with it. We just have to do it. We've got to commit to done over perfect. Okay. So you'll see here where Tyler got 10 verbal yeses. He sent the invites out through email. They said yes. He was put on his first webinar. And this was his first webinar. And to get 10 people that say yes, that's huge. So he said, hey, I had to finish some automations off, but I've got it. We're picking up the steam and we're creating that momentum. So that's huge. All right. So I want to know, those of you that are tuning in, whether you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever you are, let us know in the chat. Have you ever tried cold email? And if you have, or if you have not, let us know why not, and what are some of the preconceptions that you have about cold email. Maybe, you're like, I don't know if it works, or I just don't know how to do it. I don't know where to start, or I don't know if that would work in my area. Let us know. Let's talk through that. Let's talk about that. And we're going to come back and address some of those as we go.
I definitely have some comments, but I'm going to wait for your next slides.
Chris is like, I have comments. We know you do, Chris. All right. Bob says, where did it go? Just saw something. Did I just see something come through?
Nope.
Not that I
saw anyway.
Okay, maybe not. Maybe I'm seeing stuff. Okay, so tell us in the chat, have you sent cold email? Why or why not? And we can talk about that as we go. All right, so let's talk about some of the logistics. Let's talk about these logistical steps. Chris mentioned the legality. What do I need to do to protect our company or protect our domains, et cetera, as we're sending out these emails? So number one, build your list. This literally, and we talked about this in the first workshop, and in the second workshop, we're always going to talk about go back to your list. What does your list look like? Who's on your list? Have you cleaned your list? This is literally a list of your ideal clients. So you have to find, who are you targeting? Who's your ICP? Who's your ideal client profile? This could be, let's say, for example, you want to target those that are impacted by the updated safeguards rule that is going into effect on June 9th. So you've got the GLBA Act. It's all about safeguarding our clients' data, really amping up their cybersecurity practices, making sure that they're having assessments done, that they have an incident response plan. And so maybe you want to go after that market because you know that there's some urgency there. If that's the case, you're going to be targeting non-banking financial institutions. Okay, that could look like, for an example, auto dealerships. Let's say that you wanted to target dealerships and you want to target car dealerships because they are impacted by this GLBA Safeguards Act. So you're going to literally build out a list and you're going to say, all right, auto dealerships in the Atlanta and North Georgia area. Okay, obviously I'm from Georgia, if you didn't already know that. But we're going to say, okay, I'm going to target car dealerships, North Georgia, Atlanta. I'm going to build out this list. Number one, I can use D7 Lead Finder. I can use Sales Navigator. I can use them in conjunction. I could use in Woodpecker. That's how you're going to send your emails. You could use Zoom Info. You can use any type of list building platform out there. We always recommend building your list before you go and buy a list. People will charge you hundreds or even thousands of dollars for a list. That's not necessary when you can build a list. Okay, you can build it and you can clean it, meaning you go through and you validate those email addresses. You just make sure that they're functional email addresses. Okay, and then you go out and run your campaign. I like to say shoot for 1,000. The reason why we do 1,000 is that's a good enough number that you can test. You can test what's working. You can actually get a real number back from that. So let's say you send an email to 1,000 of your ideal clients from this list. You can really see if it's working or not. If you're getting a 3% response rate, or like Brittany said, a 20% open rate, like you can see what's working. Whereas if you only have 50 people on a list, it's just not enough of data. It's not a big enough pool to really pull good data from. Okay.
And I think it's also, one of the things that I really like to do, it's so important to get very tight on who you're looking to get into it and make sure the language and the subject line and the email, we'll get into that in a second, speaks to that specific person.
Yep.
And making sure it actually solves a problem they're currently having. Those things are really critical to make sure that you're actually putting something in front of the right person versus just casting a net over a specific area. And real estate agents like to cast nets because they're looking for homeowners. So they'll throw it up. But just imagine if their list was all these people that were existing apartments and they said, hey, want to learn how to manage your current house. Well, that doesn't speak to them because they're all renters, right? So it's really important that you hone in, be super tight. I specifically like working inside of LinkedIn and then using the category, looking at some ideal clients. One of the things that I do, a little secret that I do in LinkedIn, we'll go into LinkedIn, look at the owner of the company they're in, and then look at the exact category that they're in inside of LinkedIn, and then we build our list based off that category. So really good plan to do that.
Yeah. And that's where you honing in on that target market comes into play, because if you're targeting, let's say, CPAs and half your list, and then the other half, you've got lawyers, they have completely different problems. They're dealing with a completely different day-to-day activity. So we've got to know who's on that list, because that's going to make a huge difference in if your message converts or not. Very good point. All right, let's come back over here. Okay, so we heard me mention Woodpecker, or Instantly, or there's several more on the market that you can use for your cold email. So if you are going to, let's say you go set up an account with Instantly. Instantly is literally built for cold email. This is meant to be used to send email to cold traffic. You do not want to use your Office 365 to do this. Please do not use your Outlook account to send cold email in bulk, right? Maybe one or two here and there, somebody that you meet at a networking meeting, you've never contacted them before, absolutely send them an email. But you don't want to send out 1,000 cold emails from your usual email service provider. What could happen, okay, little red flag here, what could happen is you could actually get your domain red flagged or blacklisted, worst case scenario, because you keep ending up in spam. So it's almost like an algorithm for email. It's like the more times that someone spams your message, the more that you're going to go to spam. So meaning if you're emailing people that don't know you, don't trust you, have no idea who you are, again, they're cold leads. It's going to happen inevitably. So the more times that they move you to the spam, you're going to go there even more often. Okay, so you want to definitely use a cold email platform with a separate domain. So you would go to Namecheap or GoDaddy or Cloudflare, wherever, and literally go purchase another domain, maybe 2 or 3 domains that you want to use that you don't care if they get blacklisted, right? Because inevitably you're going to go to spam sometimes. It's okay. You can check your deliverability and try to improve that, but you don't want to use your domain. Okay, so once you got your domain, you get set up. Now you're going to verify those emails. So back here, we talked about, all right, I built the list. Now I've got to clean my list. So this literally means that you're going to use the list cleaning features inside of these cold email platforms, and it's going to validate those email addresses. It's going to, I don't know how it does it. I don't really care how it does it. I know it checks something somewhere. Chris, maybe you know, but it validates it. It sends a message and says, yep, this email is valid. Nope, that email is not valid. So you don't want to.
The IT guys are sitting here like it's SPF and DMARC, Lindsey.
I know, right? Yeah, of course.
She's anything but a tech, then that's good. That's what I prefer in my marketing team.
Yeah, I'll teach you how to craft this message, though. I'll teach you to write emails that convert, but I don't know how it is they clean those emails. Don't know. That's what we pay them to do. Okay. So you want to make sure that you get those email addresses cleaned up, and also huge believer, huge proponent for like delegating things that you're not great at or that are not directly making you money. So this would be a great project that you could take to someone on Upwork or Fiverr. You'll see Fiverr, Fiverr.com, and literally find someone who is skilled in this. And this is what they do all day long. And you pay them $40 and they'll go clean your list. I'm just saying. Okay. All right, so let's see. Brittany says, I sent you a pic of my statistics for the email I sent out. It won't let me put it here. Okay, we'll take a look at that, Brittany. Thank you, Brittany. And Brittany and Bob Perkins, they're in our 7-figure MSP program. So they're actually clients of ours. They're out doing the things. And this is what we do. You show up imperfectly. You take steps. You take action. And then we go back to the drawing board and we say, okay, what can we do better? How can we improve this? It's a great example of that. All right, so step 3, so we've built our list. Number 1, we've cleaned our list. Number 2, now we're going to go through and we're going to build our script. This is the fun part for me. This is like where I really, you get to pull in your creative side and you get to create scripts. You get to create copy that actually resonates with your ideal client. So what we recommend, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do this, is 3-step process, 2 days, super easy. I think you're going to have fun with this also. You're going to pre-write a few variations of your script. So I'm going to show you how to do that. You're going to go through, like literally write it on a piece of paper, pull up a Google Doc, whatever, and you're going to write out a couple of variations. Short, sweet, to the point. You're inviting them somewhere, preferably a soft call to action. So what I mean by that, anytime you hear the word call to action, I mean, what is the very next step that you're driving your traffic to? So let's say, for an example, I send out a cold email and it says, hey, I'm Lindsey from ABC Tech, saw that you were a CPA in the XYZ area. We're reaching out because cyber attacks are on the rise. We're hosting a training this coming up Thursday. Can you make it? Question mark. So my call to action in that email would be for them to join my training. And so at that point, they're going to reply back and say yes, or what time, or maybe, what's it about, right? So I'm going to engage them in that first email. And ultimately, my call to action is not to sell them a cybersecurity risk assessment. Please do not sell CSRAs in cold email, okay?
Well, not only that, Lindsey, and just so you guys that are watching this live and on the recording know, CSRA is a 7-figure MSP term that means cybersecurity risk assessment. You don't want to be even offering a free network assessment. You don't want, and that's kind of how the MSP industry used to do is, hey, you want a free network assessment? No, you don't want to even go there. We want to start with getting them, we want to start with positioning, getting them saying, oh, yes, I'd love to watch some more content on this.
Yep.
That's positioning, getting them to say, yeah, that sounds really good and valuable to me. You don't do this if you don't have the right list, if you don't have the right message. And then you have to have something they actually care about that they can learn from and say, oh, wow, that person's an expert. Let me see what I can do. Then you get into your next call to action, drive them up that value ladder.
Yeah, absolutely. How can we create yeses? How can we create this habit of yes? How can we create the opportunity to serve, the opportunity to share value, the opportunity to say, or to show them, right? We are the expert. This is why we're the go-to cybersecurity company. This is what we do. And then let them make a decision from there. You don't want to just be calling people and pitching, a network assessment and then say, oh, well, okay, great. Well, it's $1,500, right? They don't know you. They don't trust you. They're going to like, nah, I'm good. They're going to say, no, thanks. We'll get our current people to do it. No, thank you. Okay. So lead it when you can with a soft call to action. That's why next week we're going to be talking about how to host your webinars, how to host these trainings, or even let's say you don't want to do a webinar and you're like, well, I would rather do something in person. You can take the exact same concept and do in-person events this way. But that positions you in an elevated light. That positions you as the expert. Okay. So soft call to actions, driving to an opportunity where you can educate, where you can position yourself as the expert. So actually, this is actually a good opportunity to come back over here to Brittany's question around not getting the response rate on those emails. So my question for you, Brittany, would be, what's your call to action in those emails? So what are we asking them to do? Are we asking them to go to our website? If so, then that's probably what they're doing. They're probably going to go to your website. I would not recommend that, right? I would say, hey, go ahead, book your call here. Are you ready? Can you join our training next Thursday where we're teaching XYZ, right? Or if you're asking them a question, maybe they're busy, they just don't have time to respond. I would be very purpose driven in where we're asking them to go and the action.
Now, I'll also say, going back to the website thing you just mentioned, 99% of websites, and probably also MSP websites, are an online brochure that's full of distractions with no conversion point.
Yep.
One of the things we push on our sales funnels, and just basically that means landing page or squeeze page, but the concept of it is it drives people down the funnel to the ideal thing you want them to do, which is convert on that page to whatever your goal is. So good example of that, a webinar landing page. It's made specifically for one thing. Doesn't have 15 menus, doesn't have all this stuff. It's just like sign up for the webinar or leave. Funnel. That's the concept of it.
Yep. How many times have you seen like an ad and you're like, oh, that's cool. Let me go check it out. And then, you get redirected to someone's website. I see this all the time with like small business ads, like people that are like boosting their posts, or, it's like, you can tell it's like a local business and they send you to their website. Well, then you get distracted by the menu and then you go here and you go there. And then we're done. We're over it. We're going to exit out and we're never going to go back. But if you're driving them to one place, which is to sign up for that webinar or book their call, that's the only thing that they can do there.
Yeah. Now, one of the things Brittany just responded back with, I send them to my booking page. I put that on the screen here.
Okay.
Send them to my booking page to schedule a strategy session. Now, I understand, Brittany, we know each other. That's a great goal, and it is a call to action. But it's kind of like going in for a kiss as you're walking in for the handshake or the casual butt out hug on your first blind date. That is a bit aggressive. Now, if they already know you, if they've already engaged with you, if they've already consumed a bunch of your content, maybe you met them at a chamber mixer or a B&I event or something like this, and you guys have already had some relationship, you're like, hey, I'll follow up. That maybe would work. That's a warm intro, but you're asking for a lot to get an ice cold prospect you're giving them nothing other than, hey, sign up for my strategy session. What does that mean? Like, what is that? You just got to be really careful.
Yep, absolutely. So, I mean, and on that note, Brittany, I would try to maybe drive them to like an info session or a webinar or a training. It doesn't even, which I know for you, Brittany, like getting Bill on the same page with these webinars. I feel you, girl. But it is, what can we do so that we can move them one step closer to getting to know you rather than going and booking that one-on-one call, which can feel kind of scary. It can feel like, I don't have time for this. What are we going to talk about? I'm busy. I got all these things to do. Now you want to book this call with me. How can I deliver value in between that's going to get them there? So something to think through. All righty. So let me put my clicker back over here. Okay. So step 4, it's literally testing and tweaking. And what I love about what you're doing, Brittany, is that you are just taking action and that you're doing it, and you're not waiting until you have the perfect script. You're not waiting until you've got it all figured out. You're literally doing the thing. So you are practicing kicking, and we're going to score. We're going to get there. We just got to figure out what works for your area and for your ideal client. So a couple of things that you want to pay attention to: what subject lines work, which Brittany, you said you had a 20% open rate. That's great for a cold email. So I would say whatever subject line you used, pay attention to it. Did you put it in capital letters? Did you use exclamation point? Was it friendly? Was it professional? Pay attention. If you're getting open rates, that tells me that your subject line is working or the preview is working. Something is working there. So that's good. And pay attention to what call to actions work. So for example, if we see, okay, well, I'm asking them to go book the strategy call. I've got the opens, but they're not doing that. They're not clicking on that link. If they're not clicking on the link, that lets me know that we need to work on your call to action. Now, let's say that you go look at your landing page and you can see that you've got people clicking on the link. That lets me know that the call to action, something's in there. They went to go check it out, and then something's not converting on that landing page. Okay, so if you're getting the clicks, but they're not converting, we need to go look at that landing page. But the point is that to even get to this point, you've got to start. It's a skill that is built over time. No one is just born knowing these things. It takes 10,000 tries to truly become a master at anything. So unless you've sent 10,000 emails with 10,000 different subject lines and 10,000 different call to actions, I promise you, we've not tried it all. So practice, get out there, act like a marketer. Don't take it personal. It's not. People are just busy. Businesses are busy doing business. So don't take it personal if you're not getting the results right off the rip. We're going to treat it as data, and then we're going to make informed decisions going forward. All right. So who's ready to build their first script? Are we ready? If you can, I would recommend bringing up like a Google Doc or like a notepad and like literally write this out as we go. You could even craft a couple things in the comments if you want. Like, let's do this right here. You don't want to just consume this information. You want to go and implement. Okay, so take it out, take out your Google Doc, take out your notepad, whatever, and let's literally build as we go. Okay. All right, so let's see. Number 1, greeting, right? This is how you greet someone. Think about if you were, so remember last week, whenever we did cold calls, and we were talking about, what would you say to someone if you were to walk up to them at a mixer? If you were at a lunch and a mixer and you were just, hanging out, networking, would you walk straight up to them and pitch and say, hey, book your session. Here we are. We're great. No, you wouldn't say that. Awkward, right? You would say, hey, I saw that you guys were on the same street as us. Yeah, we just opened up. How are things going for you? Right? You're going to have some type of greeting. You're going to have some type of relatability. Now, if you were in person, you may say something like, oh, I really like what you said back there about XYZ. You would have some type of relativity, right? So last week when we did cold emails and we talked about picking up the phone, and when they answer the phone, we say, hey, saw that you were a CPA in the XYZ area. You know, we're creating something, some type of common ground. Now, if you were in Texas with Chris, you may say, how weird was that ice last week, right? Like, what's the relatability here that you can get people to kind of let their wall down just a little bit, let their wall down. Okay, same thing in your emails. So go ahead, maybe put an example in the chat. You'll see right here, hey, we saw that you were a CPA in the Phoenix area. Simple. That's all it's got to be. Okay, simple.
Now, one thing, Lindsey, you mentioned earlier was deliverability. And one thing I want to tell you guys, Outlook, Office 365 has that focused inbox, and then the other inbox, G Suite, Google, Gmail, whatever you want to call it, has the primary, promotions, and socials tabs. You have to be very careful about using things like using specific words, because they will flag you. They see you as spammy. Things like free and offer and guaranteed and ROI. So you got to be careful to make sure to not use. And as you do this, you get a little bit better. There's some tools out there, specifically Instantly. Woodpecker has there's some grammar checkers that are out there. But give you a good example. I was on the cruise last week, Lindsey. And there's this young woman there that kind of does this fractional, she spoke, her name's Michelle. She does this fractional sales manager as a service kind of thing. So I was talking to her and I'm like, oh, might be interested in that. So I signed up for her deliverable. She had a lead magnet that was, in fact, it was kind of cool because her lead magnet that was on her QR code at the end of her presentation was here's 5 things CEOs need to do to properly outsource your sales team or your sales management, which I thought was pretty good. I was like, oh, I want that. That's kind of
what
cool.
are those 5 things? Let me see.
But long story short, so I filled out her stuff, put my stuff in there, got her deliverable. Her deliverable went directly to my promotions tab in Gmail. And I reached out to her and I said, hey, your stuff went to and we kind of know each other a little bit. So I had her on Messenger and I said, hey, your stuff went to my promotions tab. She's like, that's weird. We spent a lot of time doing all this. And I said, well, let's see how the rest of your nurture. So she's got a 30-day nurture that hits you for every day for the first 30 days. Well, the next 3 days were in my primary inbox on my Gmail, my personal Gmail. Yep. So it's not that her account is bad. It was all related to copy and her subject lines. And it just shows how important that is, because I happened to see it because I was looking for it. But you think about how your Gmail app works on your phone. Like, you want to make sure that this stuff delivers. And it's kind of a battle. It's not just like this. And you guys as IT guys know you have to have your SPF and your DKIM and some of this stuff set up right. But if you do have that set up right, it's a copy battle. So you just got to be really careful. And that's why I kind of went through that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if someone's replying to your email, that's going to help it land in the inbox. So something maybe for you, like thinking about, okay, well, if I see them clicking my link, maybe on the next one, take the link out and just ask them to reply. Hey, reply back and let me know. And that's going to help you, one, see who's interested at all, kind of get a filler for it. And then also it's going to help your deliverability in the long run. So good point on those. Okay, so first things first, we want to get our greeting. Go ahead, write down your greeting, like literally craft this as we go. By the end of this, you're going to have a script that you can go out and send in your email campaign. So number 1, greeting. Number 2, we're going to go into your purpose. So it's literally number 1, hey, saw that you were a CPA in the Phoenix area. Number 2, what's the purpose of this email? I'm reaching out because we help CPA firms like yours from cyber attacks. We help protect CPA firms like yours from cyber attacks, right? Or, hey, as you know, cyber attacks are on the rise. We help companies like yours mitigate their risk. period. That's the purpose. That's why I'm reaching out. I'm reaching out because of this. Short, sweet, simple. I don't need to go into a long whole spill. I don't need to teach a bunch of stuff. I don't need to drop a ton of statistics or information, or you don't need to be the expert by the time you end this email. I just need you to know the very next action that I want you to take. Okay. So go ahead, drop it in the chat, add it to your script that you're building out. What's the purpose? What are you at, or why are you emailing them? Okay. And you don't want to do your call to action yet. That's going to come up next. Here we go. So number 3, now we're moving into the call to action. So now if we put it all together, let's read all this together. Hey, saw that you were a CPA in the Phoenix area. I'm reaching out because we help CPA firms. We help protect CPA firms from cyber attacks. We're hosting a webinar on protecting your business and avoiding penalties due to new regulations. Do you want an invite to join? Reply back and let me know. Easy. No links, no crazy call to act, or no crazy long call to actions, no sending them to my website. It's very simple. Here's who you are. Here's how we know you. Here's why we're reaching out. Here's what we're doing to offer value. Here's how we're going to build our trust. Are you interested? Yes or no? Reply back. Easy.
Couple things I really like in what Lindsey has done here, guys. First of all, she's not sending them a link. Link leads to spam. Link leads to promotions folder, social folder, other inbox folder in Outlook. So, and she's also giving them enough value and then saying, hey, reply back and let me know. This also gives you a way to sort out the people that were interested immediately. Boom, got them. The ones that didn't reply, call them. Hey, did you see my email? Like, that's a huge opportunity. This is why this stuff needs to be focused, and you need to have a strategy around it. Otherwise, it's just literally throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're feeling like, Lindsey, this sounds great, but I have no idea how I would host that webinar, or I have no idea what I would talk about in a training.
Next week.
That's next week. That's exactly right. Come back next week and we're going to tie all these pieces together. All right. So you can actually see here, Shane did this. He went out, he did his cold email campaign, Shane and Brittany. And they said, all right, we've got an appointment. They agreed to a $1,500 CRA on the spot. That's awesome. It was all from their cold email. So it works if we work it. So now that we know it's all about building trust, we know that it's all about building that credibility. You know what, Chris? We did not put the banner up here. So let me go in and give you guys this link. I'm going to give you all.
You got it.
Okay, there you go. Here's your resource for today. It's going to tie all of these pieces together. Okay, so I made you build your own script first. You know how to do it. You don't need us to do it for you. You can do this on your own. You don't need this. But in that document that you see right here displayed on the screen, that's your resource, and it gives you 3 different scripts in there. So you are welcome. Go out, try this, practice it, play with your subject lines, okay? Build your list, do the things, see if it works, okay? Ultimately, we want you to understand how these things work. But again, you're a busy business owner doing business. So the ultimate goal is to get you to a place to where you can bring in help. You can have your marketing manager, you can have a sales development rep, you can have a marketing assistant help you with these cold emails. Because it does take time to manage your inbox, to reply to people, to check your stats. It's work. Okay. So ultimately, we want you to understand high-level strategy, try it, do the things, and then be to a place where you can get help with this. Okay. Know your numbers. You heard us talk about, are they opening it? Are they opening up the emails? Are they replying? Are they clicking? What's happening in those emails? Know your numbers, test it, and then keep going. It will work if you work it.
Do you really have Batman kicking a field goal?
What else would we have there? I mean, it was necessary.
So a couple quick things I want to just say. Let's back up one more slide there. I just want to say on, not that one, the one you just had up, the other one. So I know one of the things we do in our coaching program is we make our members go through a training regimen on sales first. They have to go through, in fact, I have the shirt on, it says, run the play.
Run the play.
I almost fell over. That means, in our world, running the play means learning how to sell a different way, learning how to sell with cybersecurity first, selling a cybersecurity risk assessment on the front side. Your existing clients, we don't sell it to them, we just do it. Then we come back and position the offering that we have completely in a different way that's factored around risk. It's not about how many seats you have. It's not how much your stack is. It's not any about these things. It's about how much risk the end user has, and putting into play that there is going to be zero ROI on this because it's cybersecurity protections, not prevention anymore. It's protections, and we're doing our best. And they have to understand it. So we position all of that. And this is one of the ways that the 7-figure MSP Elite program gets more money. We help you get more money because we go back to your existing, kind of go back to the dry well, that low-hanging fruit, whatever you want to call it, that's out there. We get more money. Then we can invest. And where I'm going with this is we then invest into marketing because it is a low ROI activity. It just is what it is. I understand that referrals are a high ROI activity, but they're not controllable. So we have to have systems, meaning marketing assistants, marketing managers, virtual assistants. We have to then also have a strategy that runs that. All of this stuff you're seeing here, if you go back to the beginning of the webcast when I was talking about this, we booked 18 new clients in the last 3 weeks, and only one came off referral. So how did I get 17 other ones? We're putting all of this other stuff into play. Some of you guys are watching on my YouTube channel. You're watching on my LinkedIn. You're watching on our 3 large Facebook groups now. And we're using all of that along with driving traffic through cold email, driving traffic through posts and messaging and all these different. So we have all these different places and all these different systems that we're driving traffic to. And out of that trickles out of the bottom, 1 referral, great, awesome, 17 new closes. That's the kind of stuff you can do. And in your world, like I understand you don't want 17, well, some MSPs are like, oh, give me 17 new deals, but most MSPs can't handle that. But what if I give you 17 meetings in 3 weeks?
There we go.
Talking, okay? It's a different animal. And your conversion, I kind of live in this world of 4s. If you get 16 meetings, you're going to close 4, 25% ratio, et cetera, kind of stuff. Well, I shouldn't even say close 4. You're going to get 25% actual qualified clients. And then out of that, 25% of them are going to be a real client that closes, is the world that we live in. Yep. So it's kind of and that's my point for the whole thing. Keeping in mind, guys, everybody that's watching this, I was an MSP owner. I did all of this. And this was like, we were a sales and marketing firm that delivered IT services when I sold. So it's really important.
Say that again. Wait. Say that again.
We were a sales and marketing firm that delivered IT.
Boom. Like there you go. So that just shows having the focus on sales and marketing. Your job was to sell and to market the company.
You never heard me say that, huh?
I have, but I just wanted to recap in case no one else has ever heard it.
Yeah, it's literally the way we lived. I mean, I had more sales and marketing people on my team than I had techs.
There you go.
It takes that much effort. We did a webinar a week for 2 years straight.
And that was before webinars were even like.
Yeah, it was literally GoToMeeting. It sucked so bad, I hated it.
Oh my
but we did all that stuff. It was I didn't do Zoom until 7-figure, honestly. Until this, I didn't do Zoom.
But I think that it comes back to the core. The thing behind it is building the trust, building the credibility, getting them to take that next step. So it's like for any of you watching, let's say that you are in a place you're like, well, my clients would never get on a Zoom webinar. 1, you don't know that, right? Maybe you're the first one in your area that's going to do it. Or 2, maybe they would come to an in-person thing. You could take the exact same concept and host an in-person luncheon, an in-person summit where you're positioned as the go-to person for small businesses or accounting firms or law firms in your area. All right, gang. So great job today. This is a lot to wrap your head around, especially if it's the first time that you're hearing this or trying this. My homework to you is to go through that resource that you've got linked right down here. Go through it and plug it in. Okay. If you're feeling like really courageous, I wasn't going to say the word I wanted to say, but if you really want to take action, go and set up your account. Let's get some emails running. I don't know if I would recommend that if you're not at a place to where you've up-leveled that message yet, if you're not really sure how you would convert it.
And I also think like you got to be ready. Like here's kind of my concept of it. Are you ready to put on a webinar or something that's really valuable for your ideal client? And it's got to be kind of focused. Like I think the FTC safeguards thing is a perfect opportunity right now for our members that are watching this, we got a whole campaign around that, a whole deck for your, like literally it's done. So you guys can do this, but you got to kind of plan 3 weeks out or maybe even 2 weeks out. Like, okay, 2 weeks from today, I'm going to have a webinar. I like webinars on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays because people aren't out of whack those days. I got a plan to do it. And then you got to kind of think about building your and you got to be ready, but your goal has got to be, I'm going to do the webinar 2 weeks from today. And then you got to get yourself to those steps until you get to the finish line. So that's got to be here, and you got to make sure you hold yourself accountable and you got to commit. And I also know, like, I get it. This stuff's uncomfortable. It's not fun. Your tech, blah, 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 blah. I've heard this a million times, but here's the thing I want to ask you, and then I'll let Lindsey close us out. Do you want to grow your business? And I talked to a guy this morning, Lindsey, called me direct. Actually hit me up on Teams. I don't know how the hell you got my stuff, but
how do people find us on Teams, right?
It's impressive. It's really well done. You guys are awesome at this. I love it. I don't love it. But hit me on Teams. I said, sure, let's get a call. So I had a call, and he knows, absolutely 100% know. He's like, I was selling $49 per endpoint. I went to my sales guy and I really pushed that I need to get it to 99, but then I got all this and I don't know how to do it. So he knows. And I said, why are you doing it? He's like, well, I know that I have to do cybersecurity and I know it's coming.
Yep.
So, and he's like, I don't know. I can't afford an ADR. I can't afford these zero trust. He's literally was saying all this to me. And I was like, well, so now you understand our messaging, which is you have to make sure that you're getting cash flow first and then having a strategy to grow. So you have to ask yourself what, because your days of being a traditional MSP are kind of like the break fix IT is kind of dead, kind of gone. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but different animal. You can't just walk into a company and rip out a firewall and put a new one in anymore. You got to jump through a lot of hoops now. Are you ready to grow? And how bad do you want it? That's the things. And those things, I compare it very much to, I have health issues. Actually, there's a lot of people that don't do this until they have a major scare. I want to be in the best shape of my life. What do I have to do to get there? Usually nothing pushes them until they have like a heart scare. And then they're like, oh, I have to do all this change and evolution. Then they have to scramble to put it in. So do you want to grow? Do you want to have more cash? Do you want to build your business and do it the right way and have more better clients? And how bad do you want it? If that's the case, got to start working on this stuff. If you don't know how, reach out to us.
Absolutely.
Don't find me on Teams.
Yeah, go find us on Teams. So please don't. Actually, message Nora. She's right here in the group. She's amazing. She will hook you up. No, I think that's great, Chris. And it's like, don't get to the place to where your business is at make it or break it. I think that this year, we were just talking about this in onboarding today. This year, it's a weird time. Like, the economy, it's just a weird place. So get in the offense, get in a place where you are actively bringing the business in. You know how to sell, you know how to market, so that the economy and all the things outside of what you can control are not happening to you. It's not, your business isn't reacting to it. It's not trying to stay afloat. How am I going to survive? How am I going to make it through this weird time? Instead, you're like, nope, we've got a game plan. I've got support. I've got mentorship. I know that I've got the resources to help us get through this, and not just get through it, but thrive during this time and come out on top at the end of it. So,
Yep.
All right, gang. With that, great job, everyone. Next week, we're going to be moving into the webinar Endzone. So all about how do you structure your live event? How do you host this webinar? How do you position yourself as an authority to drive your leads to ultimately that CSRA, that cybersecurity risk assessment? That's where all roads lead to. So come back in. Our next training is going to be all about the webinar. Go out, try this, craft your script. If you're not quite ready for that, remember last week's homework was to go and make calls. So whether or not you are running the play yet or not, you could definitely be making cold calls. So let us know how it's going. Let us know here in the comments. Reach out if you guys need support in this, and we will see you back next week for the webinar Endzone.
And if you want to talk to us, our team is booking calls actively. Just go to sevenfigureMSP.com. You can watch kind of the intro video with me, and then you can fill out an application and book a call directly on that. Keep in mind, note, we did the webinar first, Brittany, then we pushed them to booking a strategy call.
Yeah, wink, wink. Yeah. Great. All right. Great job. Great close. I think that's awesome. Thank you, Chris, for having me here. Always a pleasure.
Great time. We'll see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, since we had Batman on the screen today kicking field goals. Lindsey, great job. We'll see you this afternoon, and we'll talk to you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.